retired former cruiserweight champion Tony Bellew was recently talking to the BBC about the heavyweight situation at the moment with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua. So I'm going to quote the bomber, Tony Bellew, right here. He says, Tyson Fury's new deal with ESPN is a problem as television networks do not typically work too well with one another. And given both Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder are with other broadcasters, it's a bit ugly. One thing we need ultimately is to know who the number one heavyweight in the world is. There has never been a fighter in any weight division in the history of boxing who has held 3 of the 4 belts as Joshua does and not being considered number one. So that makes that clear. Joshua is the main man, despite what some say. And being number one, that gives you the financial lead when entering into any negotiations. If Fury or Wilder held 3 belts in the division, do you really think they would give an opponent 50-50? Joshua is offering some of these guys more in one night than they have earned in their whole career, and yet they still want to complain. He's also saying if they win and they rematch, he'd flip the terms. We know who the number one is. If you believe you can beat him, take the payday and you'll make even more in the rematch. Do they really believe they can beat him though? I'm not so sure. So those are the words of the bomber, Tony Bellew, and he makes some very good points there, people. Very good points. Do any of you believe that if Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder held 3 belts, that they would give anybody 50-50? I know it's a hypothetical, but given the fact that Fury has no belts and Wilder has 1 belt and they want 50-50, imagine if either one of them had 3 belts. They would never in their wildest dreams be giving anybody 50-50, in my opinion. You know? So that's a very good point there from Tony Bellew. He also talks about there's never been a time in history when the man with 3 or 4 belts is not considered number one. Again, I have to agree with that. I've seen some people try argue the point about Michael Spinks and Mike Tyson in the 80s. Well, they're totally wrong. Mike Tyson was considered the man before he fought Spinks, which is why he was such a big favorite going into the fight. Bookies' odds are based upon what the bookies actually think, but also based upon the way the public are betting. And most of the bets, I mean, the closer you came to the fight, obviously there was more money that went in on Spinks. But certainly most of the public, the majority of the public felt that this was Mike Tyson all day. He was going to flatten Spinks, and that's exactly what he did. So he was seen as the man. Don't get it twisted. He had the belt. Spinks had this lineal thing. Same in the 90s. When George Foreman was the lineal, he wasn't seen as the man. He was seen as an old man who did well to knock out Michael Moorer in a fight where he was getting absolutely battered. But when he went on this run as lineal champion, fighting the likes of Crawford, Grimsley, and Lou Savarese, he wasn't seen as the man. The other guys were seen as legitimate. The Holyfields and Lennox Lewis's, those guys were seen as legit, not George Foreman. So again, Tony Bellew makes a good point when it comes to that. And finally, when he says, do Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury really believe they can beat Anthony Joshua? You know, I've been thinking lately about Tyson Fury's performance against Deontay Wilder. We know Tyson Fury, beautiful boxer. But with regards to his performance against Deontay Wilder, from the opening seconds of the bout, I was saying Fury is a shell of himself. That is not the man who fought Klitschko. Because I'd rewatched the Klitschko fight the week of Fury Wilder. So I knew what the Klitschko version of Fury looked like. But when I saw him in there against Wilder from the very opening bout, I was like, that's not the same man. He's not moving the same. He's not as sharp. He's not as fast. That's not the same guy. Deontay Wilder was outboxed by Gerald Washington for several rounds before he eventually clipped him and took him out. Gerald Washington has never been considered an amazing boxer. But Gerald Washington, for at least, 4 rounds, whatever it was doing a similar job to Tyson Fury in terms of outboxing Deontay Wilder. You see where I'm going with this? It might not take an amazing boxing display to outbox this guy. It might not take the slickest, heavyweight in the world to outbox a Deontay Wilder for 12 rounds. Perhaps Wilder's team feel the same way. Maybe Wilder's team, maybe even Wilder himself, actually don't want the Joshua fight. And it's not about building it up. It's about the fact that they actually don't believe they can win it, or believe they will win it, or maybe they think that there's too big of a chance of them losing it to go ahead with a fight right now. Maybe it's the same for Tyson Fury. Maybe Tyson Fury deep down is like, you know what, Joshua's better than I make him out to be in the press. Deontay Wilder's just a really poor boxer. He's a tremendous puncher, but his boxing skills are non-existent. I know that. I know that AJ has far better skills than Deontay Wilder, better balance, throws his punches more correctly, has a better boxing brain. I know that. I know it's not going to be easy against AJ, but of course I'm going to make out to the public that AJ is just some stiff bodybuilder who I outbox easily. Again, I'm not in Tyson Fury's mind. I'm not in Deontay Wilder's mind. I'm speaking in terms of speculation here. But when you look at the actions, and of course actions speak louder than words, when you look at the actions of Tyson Fury and the actions of Deontay Wilder, neither one of them has exhibited the actions of men who desperately want the Anthony Joshua fight. Neither one of them. Tyson Fury is happy to go off on ESPN and fight Tom Schwartz. Wilder's happy to go off the Showtime route, potentially fight several other people if he gets past Dominic Breazeale, not named Anthony Joshua. So maybe it's just the case that neither one of them is particularly keen on the fight. Look, I know Tyson Fury is a fighting man. I certainly would never, ever suggest that Tyson Fury, or Deontay Wilder for that matter, are cowardly. They're not. They're warriors. But they're also businessmen. And particularly with Tyson Fury, he's a smart guy. Wilder's not so smart, but he's got some smart people on his team. Fury's a smart guy. And Fury knows how to weigh up risk reward. Fury is a guy who, back in the days, he used to criticize people like David Haye for pulling out of fights. How many fights has Tyson Fury pulled out of since then? The double standards from Tyson Fury have been quite breathtaking over the years. But it's because he's learned, I think. I was having a discussion with one of my Facebook friends, and he was talking about Tyson Fury and David Haye. And I was like, you know what? I think Tyson Fury actually learned from David Haye. In fact, I'm not sure whether it was him who said it or whether I said it first, but one of us was saying it. And certainly that's my suspicion now, that Tyson Fury actually learned from David Haye. In terms of the situation he was in with Haye pulling out of the fights, and Fury was really upset. But I think he kind of looked at that situation and thought, if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. If David Haye can pull out with fake injuries and all this kind of stuff and everything just goes away and he can win the public support back afterwards, I can do the same. And I think he's done that. So, yeah, Tyson Fury is a smart guy, and perhaps he's just looking to stay away from the AJ fight for now. Build himself up, make lots of money, maybe rematch Deontay Wilder in 2020, which is what Bob Arum's talking about right now. No rematch with Wilder until 2020. Jeez. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section below. It's happening about. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.